Hi, I'm Simon Wheeler, Director of Product Management here at Stateless. Today I will be showing a short summary of the Luxon capabilities in this graphical user interface or GUI overview. We're going to show how Stateless has revolutionized the networking industry by simplifying the network creation and configuration process. With Luxon, the process of creating a tenant network relies on three simple processes: creating the links to the outside world, creating the endpoints, and finally, the network environment itself. So starting with the links page, a link is a connection between the Luxon SDN switches and the outside world. A link can be bonded across multiple ports and multiple switches, this being a typical practice in the data center industry to ensure redundancy. As you can see, a number of links have already been created, each link being given a name that the physical connection goes to, such as AWS, Google, Azure, and others. Creating a link is simple, and in this example we are adding a new link to the Salesforce cloud. So now that we have added the link, let's configure this for one of our tenants, Tenant 1. As you can see, Tenant 1 already has a number of endpoints configured, including AWS, Azure, Google, and their two colocations. So let's take the Salesforce cloud link we just created and configure this link for tenant connection. The first thing that we'll do is create the endpoint. We now can create and assign a new endpoint for that tenant using the appropriate VLAN or VXLAN tag. Now that we've added the Salesforce endpoint, let's have a look at how simple it is to set up a network infrastructure and the connections. As you can see on this page, we have a router on the left of the screen and our existing networks that we saw on the endpoints page, including AWS, Azure, Google, and the two colocations already configured. Now for the Salesforce link, creating a virtual connection between the router you see on the left side of the page and the new endpoints is simple. Just click the Add Endpoint button and select Salesforce. The virtual link is created automatically by Luxon. You will see that there is a plus sign on the Layer 2 connection. This allows Layer 3 services to be conveniently added. Let's say that the tenant wants to add a packet filter and a NAT to this configuration. This can be done simply and quickly by clicking on the plus signs and selecting from the available network functions. In the background, Luxon performs the REST API calls needed to make these changes. This level of automation saves a significant amount of time that the network engineers can use elsewhere. This principle becomes particularly important when network functions need to change place within the architecture. In this example, let's say the tenant wants to swap the position of their packet filter and NAT on their Salesforce connection. Using the traditional CLI approach from existing network vendors, this process would take hours to re-architect. With Luxon, this is a drag and drop process, and the REST API calls to recreate the network are all done in the background. Now that the Layer 3 network functions have been added, they can be named and configured using a simple user interface. Once the network topology has been created and configured, traffic flows between the endpoints can then be started. As you can see, Stateless Luxon brings an unprecedented level of automation, configuration, and visibility to the data center network creation process.